This is the all-new and all-electric Mercedes EQE SUV. You could think of it as the EV equivalent of the GLE in Merc's EQ lineup. Question is, how good of an EV is it? And how good of an SUV is it? We are in gorgeous Kashmir to find out. What do you think of the new EQE SUV, and would you have it over any of its all-electric luxury SUV rivals? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Autocar India channel. और अगर आप ये रिव्यू हिंदी में देखना पसंद करते हैं, please check कीजिए Autocar India. To set some perspective, the EQE SUV is not a replacement for the now discontinued EQC, but sits a rung above. Also, the EQE SUV is an EV-only model that's built on Merc's dedicated electric vehicle architecture. Its 30mm wheelbase is the longest of rivals like the BMW iX and Audi Q8 e-tron, and measuring 4.8 meters end-to-end, the EQE SUV is substantial. However, it's not got the butch look of a traditional large SUV. It's rounded and flowing, and the shape is dictated by the end of achieving best aerodynamics. How effectively an EV cuts through the air makes a huge difference to range. Think oversized GLA and you'll get an idea of the EQE SUV's appearance. Styling links to other Mercedes EQ models. There's a gloss panel in place of a traditional grille, above which you'll find a light bar that links the headlights. The digital headlights comprise 1.3 million pixels each, allowing the light beam to be optimized for brightness, road conditions, and oncoming traffic. A cab-forward stance, 20-inch wheels, and flush-fit door handles that only pop out when you come close to the vehicle are things that you'd notice at the sides. At the back, the rounded tail includes spread-out lights that come linked by a functional light bar, and there's a roof-mounted spoiler too that's just another component of the EQE SUV's aero package. The powered tailgate opens to reveal a well-shaped luggage area, but prime real estate in the 520-litre boot is taken up by the space-saver spare tyre. The rear seats can be folded down to increase luggage room to 1675 litres. Before you ask, there's no frunk. In fact, only Mercedes technicians can open the bonnet, but that's only needed every service, which is at 2 years or 30,000 kilometers. Wiper fluids can be topped up from the openings at the sides. The EQE SUV doesn't sit that high off the ground, so you won't need to use the footboard to get inside. Speaking of the EQE SUV's interior, it is massive on wow factor, and leading the list of things that'll blow you away is this 56-inch hyperscreen that comprises a 12.8-inch digital driver's display, a 17.7-inch center touchscreen, and a 12.8-inch dedicated screen for the front passenger. The screens sit under this massive panel of glass, and the combined effect is spectacular. Now, talking of the screens individually, we'll start with the digital driver's display. It's typical Merc fare, which means it is very high-res, uses vibrant colors, and looks really nice and is very easy to read. It also gets customizable themes, including an off-road mode. Head-up display is part of the package as well and relays the key info straight into your line of sight. The centerpiece of this interior, of course, is the 17.7-inch touchscreen, which takes pride of place on the dashboard and is your go-to control for virtually all settings on the EQE SUV. The fixed position of the climate control settings on the screen helps, but it's not as easy or feelsome to use as a physical dial or button would have been. But in terms of usability, response time, interface, this is one very slick unit. It's when accessing less frequently used functions that you'll realize that the screen is iPad good. Of course, it's also feature loaded and gets items like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and also packs in a very nice 360-degree camera. There's also a lot of charging info should you want to geek out. The passenger screen, meanwhile, displays the important settings and functions, and though we didn't try it, it can also be used to play videos. A cool fact, it's designed to dim if the in-car cameras and sensors detect the driver looking at it for longer than 3 seconds. As space age as the EQE SUV's interior looks, it does still feel like a proper Mercedes interior when talking of quality. Everything feels rich, it's finished to a very high grade, and attention to detail is superb. Just check out these lovely rotary aircon controls and also 3 pointed stars on the wooden panel above the center box. Also, the ambient lighting is really tasteful. Those sat up front will like the comfort on offer. You won't be towering over other road users as you would in something like a GLE, and the swoopy A-pillars also don't give you the feel of being in a traditional upright SUV. Still, you get a good enough view of the road ahead, and seat comfort up front is really nice. The seats are very well upholstered, they are adjustable in multiple ways, they get ventilation and also 8 massage functions. What is an irritant on the EQE SUV, as it is on many of the newer Mercs, are these controls for the seats. They just don't have that tactile feel that you got on seat controls on older Mercs. What I also don't like are these touch pads on the steering wheel. They're pretty much a hit and miss affair. But you have to say, Mercedes has really gone to town with the loadings on the EQE SUV. In addition to all that we've spoken of already, the EQE SUV also packs in a panoramic sunroof, a 15-speaker 710-watt Burmester sound system, and an onboard air purifier. Here's a quick recap of the features that the EQE SUV gets. Of the other things, in-cabin storage is really good. Aside from the glove box and bottle holders at the doors, there's the aforementioned storage box between the front seats and an even larger bay further back. Lower down, there's a massive recess that can be used to store larger items like a lady's handbag. You'll best experience the benefits of the relatively long wheelbase EV architecture at the back. The EQE SUV is very generous in terms of rear seat room. Now, I'm just under 6 feet tall. The front seat is set to my driving position, and as you can tell, I have a lot of knee room. The EQE SUV also scores in space for a middle passenger. There's enough shoulder room for 3 to sit in relative comfort, and the flat floor also helps here. But for all its space, the EQE SUV doesn't ace rear seat comfort, and that's because the seat squab is short and doesn't give your legs the support that you'd expect. The rear seat back is not adjustable, and some might find the recline angle a touch upright too. In terms of amenities at the back, you get this fold-down armrest with flip-out cup holders. You get dedicated zones for the climate control system. There are 2 USB Type-C chargers down there, but there are no blinds for the windows. The model for India is the EQE 500, which comes powered by a pair of electric motors, one at each axle, that make a combined 408 horsepower and 858 Newton meters. The motors draw power from a 90.5 kWh lithium-ion battery pack positioned under the floor. Remarkably, the battery comes with an industry-first 10-year or 250,000 km warranty. Mercedes will supply an 11 kW AC home charger with the car, and it can support DC fast charging at up to 170 kilowatts. So, how does it all come together? The first order of business in the EQE SUV is to switch off the active brake assist. Yes, it is a safety feature designed to stop the car in case it senses an impending collision, but at slow speeds and in city driving conditions, it's just too sensitive. And what you'll find is at times the car will just slam the brakes hard, and that's not what you want. Moving on. 408 horsepower and 858 Newton meters are big numbers by any measure, and on the EQE SUV they also deliver big performance. 0 to 100 kps takes a claimed 4.9 seconds. Think about it, this is a heavy luxury family SUV with sports car performance. And like all powerful EVs, it's got this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde split personality about it. In town, it'll fit right in, but press down a bit harder on the accelerator pedal and what you get is explosive performance. Performance is most urgent in sport mode, and on twisty roads, there's some fun to be had as well. The EQE SUV is not an outright sporty SUV, but there are things you like about the way it handles. For instance, there's this ever-present feeling of grip. You can't actually tell where the power is going, front axle, rear axle, or between the wheels, but the electronics behind the scenes are doing a really good job of all that they have to do. Then there's the steering that feels really nice and crisp, and in sport mode, it also feels quite quick. But this is a heavy car and you can feel the weight transfer when you go fast into a corner. And the softly Frunk suspension also means that there's a bit more movement than you'd like. That softness from the suspension also comes through on wavy surfaces. And even at the suspension's firmest, the EQE feels soft. In low speed settings, as you'd encounter in day-to-day city life, the EQE SUV feels nice and pliant. The cushy ride is really comfortable, though the suspension will thwack on a pothole taken at high speed. Make no mistake though, because the EQE SUV is not lacking in ground clearance. The standard fit air suspension gives you the option to raise ride height by 25mm. On a mild off-road trail, the EQE SUV didn't touch anywhere. The EQE SUV's off-road program also did well to channel the right dose of power to get out of any tricky situation. A cool and handy inclusion is a view of the surface below the bonnet. Back on the road, there was more to learn of the EQE SUV. An area that the EQE SUV absolutely nails is refinement. In fact, Mercedes is the gold standard of refinement when it comes to EVs at the moment. Because typically when you remove an engine, it does bring down decibel levels, but then it also draws your attention to other noises such as road noise, wind noise, tire noise. The EQE suppresses these extra noises so well that it cocoons you from the world outside and stands out in this regard even in the quiet world of EVs. In their own way, the EQE SUV's ADAS functions will also help drivers maintain their calm. The EQE's ADAS suite includes active brake assist, which is a feature I wouldn't keep on at low speeds, but it is advisable to keep on at higher speeds. There's also active lane keep assist, which does its job quite well. There's a blind spot monitor, which again, very handy in chaotic driving conditions. And a feature that I personally really like is adaptive cruise control, which maintains a set distance to a vehicle in front of you when you're out cruising. The EQE SUV gets 9 airbags as standard and is a Euro NCAP 5-star rated vehicle. Also, a word on the brakes. I found the friction brakes a bit mushy, but the regen braking, adjustable via the pedals, to be very nicely tuned. There are 3 levels for the regen braking. So you have strong regen braking, which emulates the effect of strong engine braking. Then there is a normal level and you can also put it off. There's also an intelligent regen braking setting. What it does is it reads your driving environment and automatically applies the braking force required. Now, we've been driving downhill for quite some time now, and frankly it's been doing a very good job of things and feels very natural. The regen helps use the battery on the go. On the subject, the EQE SUV's official range is 550 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. We'll do a full test when we get the car in Mumbai, but on this drive that included hilly terrain, we got a real-world figure of about 420 kilometers. The EQE SUV is priced at 1.39 crore rupees ex-showroom, making it the most expensive of the electric luxury SUVs on sale. And as a spec comparison with rivals will reveal, that big price tag doesn't get you the biggest battery, which is currency in the world of EVs. And the rear seat isn't Merc's best either. What this Mercedes stands out for is tech. Right from the pop-out door handles to the hyper screen, the EQE SUV comes across as a tech showcase on wheels. And then there's the brilliant refinement. The EQE SUV really does deliver the goods in whisper quiet silence. Add in a plush ride and punchy performance and you get an all-electric package that'll tempt you to spend big money.